Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for the Q&As. So let's go ahead and get this started. All right, first question. With your recent experience working out with no power or heat, what effect do you think extreme temperatures have on making progress? Those of us with garage gyms, especially in Texas, often deal with 40-degree temps in winter and 100 plus in the summer. Now, my people around the rest of the world, they don't know Fahrenheit. So 40 degrees is just a little bit above freezing in Fahrenheit, and 100 is probably in the range of about 40 Celsius. And yeah, it does get above that down here in Texas. And so, yeah, it's problematic. The interesting thing, I have actually trained in both extremes before. I have trained in very, very hot gyms in Texas in the summertime that didn't have central air of any type. Occasionally, they had big fans they turn on to where you would sweat, right? Strength gyms. And by the way, most people will notice if you've ever been to a strength gym, a lot of people talk about me training without a shirt. That's normal. In hot climates and strength gyms, it's normal to train in nothing but a pair of shorts. See it all the time. I have clients who even realize and do this now because of where they're training. Doug trains in a gym like that right now. He trains in a pair of shorts mostly because it's hot. He's in a southern state. So these things are normal in a lot of places. I've trained in that, and I trained in freezing cold outside when I lived in the UK. And the UK gets colder than Texas ever does, right? We don't, like where I live in Texas, it doesn't really hit freezing temperatures that often. It's not a normal thing. We don't get snow. That's the first time I've ever heard of in my life snow being on the ground in Houston for multiple days. That is virtually an unheard of event. It does not happen here. So, yes, it absolutely matters. It affects training. And the most important thing to think about is going to be things like hydration and the clothing that you wear. Because when you're really sweaty, if you're super sweaty and it's hot like we deal with here, your clothing is a problem. Like your shirt getting drenched with sweat makes training and stabilizing things difficult, right? You may need to go shirtless, you may need to towel off. And if you're at any gym that doesn't have air conditioning in a hot climate, they're probably going to expect you to be shirtless. It shouldn't be a big deal. Your garage gym, you may need to do that. Box fans matter. Hydration matters. People who are training in extreme heat, you're going to need a higher sodium intake. You're going to need more electrolytes. You're going to have these things. We get over to very cold, like again, how I was training outside in the UK. You've got to layer your clothing. Again, you have to watch hydration status. That's the biggest thing. You can train fine in these things. I was here in the cold training just fine. I trained in the heat just fine. And sometimes our air conditioning doesn't work as well as I would like, and it could be so hot that you guys have seen me dripping with sweat before with fans blowing. Okay. The main thing is that hydration and the way that you and the clothing that you wear make a bigger difference in that environment. But if you get those things right, it's fine. You can make optimal progress still. Plenty of people do it. All right, next question. Have you had any lifters that don't seem to respond to speed work? Oh yeah, absolutely. And even in my case, everyone's noticed that I've replaced all my speed work with just more max effort work. Why? I get more out of the max effort work. I respond to speed work though. I mean, I got my lifts up quite a bit while doing speed work, right? But I've also continued to get strong without it. As far as my lifters go, what do I look for in those who don't respond to speed work? Especially people who don't have access to bands and chains. You have to be very careful programming straight weight speed work. And when you get a lifter who at 60% of their max, no matter what you do, you have them try to do speed work for 2 months. If it looks like max reps, they're not going to get anything out of speed work. Okay, they're not getting anything out of it. In other words, if you have a lifter who you put them on their speed bench and you have them do a set of 5 at 80% with normal working sets, which is about right. I like to program 3x5s at 80% for my lifters, or in some cases 5x5s on some lifts, depending on what they're doing. But if you have them do that and that 80%, the bar moves the same speed as a triple does at 60% on speed work, like literally the same speed, you can't tell them apart, that's a problem. Do you know why? Because that lifter is basically just doing 20% less weight with the same speed. They're not getting anything out of it. If you let that lifter continue to do that, and then no matter what you do, no matter how aggressive you try to get them, and you explain how to get aggressive on speed work, they cannot move the weight fast. That speed work is not going to work for them. It's not going to work. If you're going to have them do triples, you might as well just take them to 85% at that point, because they need the tension. Because for speed work to have a training response, it has to be explosive. Has to be explosive. And you guys have, again, you've watched Mikey and his vlogs do speed work. You guys know what speed work's supposed to look like. Okay? And I do have people faster than him. So if they cannot get any bar speed out of it, you're not going to get anything from it. And a lot of your lifters who don't move quite as fast as you would like on speed work, I take their percentages up and run them at higher percentages in their waves. I run them at even higher percentages in their waves and see if their bar speed's the same. And if it is, I'll just keep them at slightly higher percentages and we'll still do speed work. But if it's 60%, I can't get any speed out of someone, I will take speed work away from them completely. There's no point in having them do it. It's basically just wasted sets. They are not going to grow from it. Right? So it becomes a wasted effort. Just have them run fives. At that point, I just replace that stuff with fives at 80% for that lifter, and we do an RE day instead of an EE day. All right, next question. Do you have any of your clients do pull-ups? Yeah, of course I do. Just because I have had issues in the past with this movement doesn't mean I don't have any of my clients do it. Now, here's what we look for. If I see clients who have the shoulder mobility that I do, we don't do pull-ups. If I have clients who get any shoulder pain at all doing chin-ups or pull-ups or any inflammation, we don't do pull-ups. Okay, it's very straightforward. We just focus completely on rowing for those people. Now, if I have a lifter who's got the shoulder mobility and they really like pull-ups and chin-ups, I will have them do them year-round. Perfect example, the lifter I put up on my Facebook fitness page a while back doing his 225 press, right? I had a guy put up a 225 overhead press, who I also showed an example of him that his lady follows his program. I don't coach her. She's deadlifting 265, just running his conjugate programming, but her percentages, and she maxes and everything, right? He does chin-ups, and he's really strong at chin-ups. What do I mean by that? He does 5 rep sets with 2 plates. Like, he can do a 3x5 with 2 plates. Deep into the workout. And I'm not talking fresh. I'm talking about after all of his pressing and stuff on bench days, right? He does it all the time. He does plenty of them. I occasionally have lifters who they really want a strong chin-up. And for me as a strength coach, if I have a lifter who comes to me and says, I really want a strong 1 rep max chin-up or pull-up, and it's important to them, right? If that's an important goal for them, then we train the chin-up and the pull-up. Why wouldn't we? It's one of their strength goals. And it doesn't have to be a competitive strength goal. Very few of my lifters are power lifters. And I know I put up some of the lifters from my guys, and some of them you guys do see doing elite numbers for their body weights. It's like, oh man, what are they hitting in comp? What is their Wilks or their total? I'm like, they don't power lift. Hey, don't get under the assumption that just because a lifter can bench 350 and squat 500 that they're a power lifter. I just get people strong. We get generally strong, and we get strong at a lot of different lifts. So if that's the case, then it's not just about the big 3. I have a lot more competitive fighters than I do power lifters. Hey, that's a larger demographic for clients for me these days. So if I have a lifter who says, hey, my goal is to, I don't know, get to, I want to be able to do a chin-up with 135 pounds, then we get them to that goal. We get them to that strength goal because it's a goal that they personally have. Just like if I have a client who says, my goal, I want to get to a 225 strict press. Well, if that's their goal, then that's one of the things that we work towards. because we want to get generally strong. And if they have a lift they care about, we are going to train towards that goal. So of course they do it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 2.